Snipers, you have to see what's happening at the Bitcoin price this Thursday, as we got one of the outcomes we were waiting for. That is Luna hitting $0 from a $40 billion market cap to a couple $1 million market cap. It has been a wild ride for UST stablecoin. And today USDT also depegged itself. And so it brought me back to this tweet from Kim.com. I do not mean to spread controversy on this channel, but 2 days before UST depegged on May 8th, Kim.com tweeted this. Wonder why crypto has been tanking for a while on Zero News. Those in the know about upcoming government crypto regulations are selling first. Here's what's coming. Ban of all USD pegged stablecoins. Now, he mentions 3 other things: restrictions on crypto use, KYC requirements, big push for US government coin. I think we were all aware of those other 3, but the first one was a little bit odd for me to see. Ban of all USD pegged stablecoins, and then UST depegs, and today USDT depegs. Does that mean that we should be more fearful of the market? We know on the order books right now, this is Bitcoin's current order books, there's a lot of volume at 27,500 all the way down to 20,000, with the peak volume at 25,000, meaning that it would be very hard for Bitcoin to move below those price levels unless we saw a lot of sell pressure come in. And by the way, we were waiting to see this outcome with Terra, Luna, and we got one of the outcomes today. It moved down to 0. It lost all of its value. And that was what we were waiting for, because now it decreases the chance of Luna's foundation selling off more Bitcoin to rescue a project that's already dead. It's gone. I don't believe Luna is going to come back. It's at 0. I've been in this market for years, and every time this has happened to a project, it has not resurrected. And so UST right now is trading at 30 cents to $1. Certainly not a stable coin. They've got $2 billion locked up in Anchor. Things are not looking good for that project. But the main concern was the fact that they lent out Bitcoin to market makers who are professionals on the order books to sell Bitcoin for UST to repeg itself. But it's obviously not worked. Luna is gone. And so now the risk of that has decreased, because they'll most likely just hold the Bitcoin at this point, because what's the point of trying to rescue something that's dead? And so the risk has certainly went down. I actually started to enter into long-term spot positions today for Bitcoin and Ethereum because of what happened to Luna hitting 0. As soon as that happened, I was like, perfect time to enter into positions, because now that risk is off the table. At least it's decreased itself, right? Why would they want to sell more Bitcoin at this point? So let's talk about the charts. What does this all mean for Bitcoin right now? Is it a good time to be entering into long-term positions for Bitcoin? Absolutely. It's heading towards its 200-week moving average right now, where in the past it's been a very strong indication of a bottom. As a matter of fact, if we look at Bitcoin against the money supply, what you'll notice is it's a lot closer to this 200-week moving average than just Bitcoin against the US dollar. And so even if we don't come down to test this 200-week moving average, that's a possible scenario for Bitcoin to just reverse from here. Maybe now that sell pressure is off the table, I wouldn't say completely, but it's certainly decreased the risk of more Bitcoin being sold off. We haven't seen more Bitcoin, I've been monitoring it every day, come onto exchanges since a couple days ago when 1.7 billion came onto exchanges before Luna went to 0. So that was probably the market makers trying to rescue Luna. But now that it's dead, the risk is gone. That was the reason Bitcoin capitulated. Could we say that this is the bottom? Well, we could still be patient. In the past, Bitcoin has slowly recovered from these types of moves. And so in the past, we've also tested the 200-week moving average, which we've yet to do so. But if Bitcoin were to come down and test the 200-week moving average, all that would mean, and this is for Bitcoin against the money supply, is that Bitcoin would come down to around 25,000 US dollars. That's all it would take for Bitcoin to test the 200-week moving average, and it might not even test it on the USDT spot price for Bitcoin. It might only test it with Bitcoin against the money supply. Who knows? But we do know there's a big support level here. But when it comes to percentage-wise, we're talking like, let's say, 12% to 13% potential downside from where current price action is, not even considering the yearly candle low right now at 26,700. And so I am very confident that the bottom is close. I think we've seen the max amount of fear. Unfortunately, we capitulated from the 600-day moving average because fundamentals took over technicals, and they are just as important as technicals. 10% fundamentals, 10% technicals. And so when fundamentals like that come on the table, $3 billion worth of Bitcoin potentially to be sold on exchanges coming from over-the-counter exchanges, that's a big deal. That's like Tesla selling off all of their Bitcoin, or that risk being on the table. Nobody would like to have that risk entering into positions for Bitcoin. Now, the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart, as expected, when there's fear and hysteria in the market, likes to capitulate. And we saw this capitulation for the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart, but it wasn't that bad. It actually only maintained itself above its major support of 65,000 Satoshis and only briefly went below its 50-week moving average. So I wouldn't say that it's completely bearish. It is bearish as a puzzle piece right now because it broke down from this symmetrical triangle, but this could certainly change over the next few days, I think. And the reason this is important is if we see the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart start to show strength again, that could give confidence back to other altcoins. But right now we have to consider a bearish puzzle piece. Not too bearish though, because it's holding 65,000 Satoshis, but it's more neutral than anything. And then when we look at anything else that's significant right now in the markets, I will say this, I am monitoring Bitcoin dominance. It pushed up, but that doesn't mean it's going to be seeing even further upside, because there was a lot of fear that came into the market, and people will store the value of their cryptocurrencies into Bitcoin, just like people in equity markets or institutions will go into gold as a storage of value. In the cryptocurrency market, Bitcoin is the digital version of gold, so it wasn't a surprise to see Bitcoin dominance up. I think more than anything, what we're seeing right now is a clear out of all of the leverage that was in the market. There was a lot of leverage. There was a lot of almost, I'd call, fake money in the market, especially with Luna, right? And by the way, my heart goes out to anyone that lost money in that project. I lost a huge bag in Luna. It was hard to avoid. It was a top 10 project. As a matter of fact, its stablecoin was about to become in the top 10 as well. It would have been the only project to have its infrastructure coin and its stablecoin in the top 10. It was hard to avoid. So my heart goes out to anyone that lost out. But I would say just forget about it and move on, because all you have is the present moment. The future and the past do not exist. They are merely just illusions in your mind. And the worst thing that you could do is to grieve for a prolonged amount of time over a Ponzi scheme. It was a Ponzi. It was a very elaborate one, but you cannot sit here and tell me that this is not a Ponzi scheme. From $40 billion of market cap to zero in a matter of days, it was clearly a Ponzi scheme. I mean, I think we're going to start getting news here over the next few days that is going to shock us about what's happening with this whole situation. I think that this rescue plan that they're trying to put, I mean, it's all done. It's gone. Luna's at zero. That's it. They went to their investors like Sequoia Capital and so forth to see if they would collateralize, whatever the word is, to collateralize their stable coin, which they denied that investment and instead pulled out from Luna. That's why we saw a major drop. All their investors pulled out when the founder went to them and asked for a bailout. And so my heart goes out to anyone dealing with it. We're not going to talk about it any further on this channel. I think it's over. I think it's in the past. It's done. And so it is what it is. But it certainly isn't the focus. Bitcoin is what matters, not Luna, not UST, not even USDT destabilizing. So could we say, because markets price in things before the overall general public will be able to even realize it's priced it in, that Bitcoin has already priced in this sort of bearish news from maybe stable coins getting banned, restrictions on crypto use, whatever it might be? Could we say that this has been priced in already? I think that there's a very good chance it has been priced in, because there was no reason for Bitcoin to breach below 30,000 US dollars, a major floor. The only way that was going to happen was for something extra terrestrial, or whatever you want to call it, a outside event to come and cause that. And that's what happened, right? It was a top 10 project that was most likely a Ponzi scheme that needed to get washed out. And that certainly, and especially because they put Bitcoin into it, $3 billion was purchased. They became the top 3 corporate holders of Bitcoin. At that point, they brought Bitcoin into this mess. And so it is what it is. We're not going to talk about it anymore. But was that an opportunity for those that are sitting on the sideline to enter into long-term spot positions? I think that it's certainly the opportunity to do so. I certainly did. As soon as we got the outcome with Luna, as I mentioned in our video yesterday, that was my trigger to go ahead and start entering into positions, because I believe the market is already pricing all of this stuff in. So I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. I needed to get this update out to you guys. USDT DPEC today down to I think 94 cents, back up to around 97 cents. But people that have significant amount of capital in USDT, that could hurt some people. And so maybe we are seeing some of this stuff come to fruition. And so the markets will price this stuff in pretty quick. And so let's not be too worried about further downside. We know there's a lot of volume, down 25,000 being the peak. And so we shouldn't expect anything that could get below that at this point in the immediate short term to medium term, and even in the long term, right? So I'll keep you guys updated. As always, smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm, snipers, if you support this content. I will see you all next time. Snipers out.